Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
Welcome back to another episode of Loose Lugs. There's an extra here today in case you guys don't see him yet. He's a driver, a pretty good one too. It's Christian Eckes. Welcome. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I'm Chris Osborne. He's Dustin Lewis. We're your normal.
I think he's lagging a little bit.
So let's get right into it. We will talk some Camping World trucks. You guys have... You've had some really good finishes. I thought you might snag a win there. It looked like you guys had plenty of speed to get the win done at Kansas. Didn't quite work out, but the top 5 is a really good finish. It's your third, I believe, this year, and you've got 4 top 10s. So let's talk about moving forward, though. What are your goals? How do you want to close out the playoff run? What's a track you can win at win this last 8?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're halfway through the playoffs now. I feel like it's time to step it up a notch. Kansas, we were okay. I thought we were going to be a little bit better going in, but just struggled with some speed on the long run. Kind of similar to what we honestly thought last year. So I think we got a lot of work to do, honestly. The 38 kind of kicked all our asses. So we got to be a little bit better here and try to figure it out.
I got you. Dustin, I'm going to let you take a swing at it. What you got for a good question for him?
When Chris told us that you were coming on the show, he had me do a little bit of research on you. And in my research, beginning in your career, you started off as a developmental driver for Junior Motorsports. And one of my questions is, did you ever meet Dale Jr. When you were a part of his developmental program? How was working with them?
Yeah, it was awesome. I didn't have a ton of contact with Dale Jr. at the time, but I met him multiple times and had conversations with him. But that entire late model program, I'd still going today and still creating some great drivers. The program's led by Josh Berry and Brian Schaefer, and there's a lot of good people there that put together a really nice program.
Nice. I haven't met Dale yet. I'm hoping we go to the tracks and I see him walk by and I'm like, but no, I'm not. Anyway. It's pretty cool that you were a development driver. There was quite a few guys that I believe went through that system. A lot of snowball derby guys, actually. And I was looking at that 2016 derby that you won, bringing that up. There was a lot of A-list drivers, including yourself in that race, and you got the win. I was not at that race. We went to 2017. I really wanted to go to 16, but it didn't work out. I wish I'd gone for that reason, just to see you win. But
I wish you had too, because if you went in 2017, you saw me run probably about like 20th.
It happens.
Yeah, racing is its way of humbling you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's why I sit here and I'm not anywhere near a track. So I would also like to mention your 2019 Arca Menard Series Championship. Was that the only year you were in Arca?
No, I ran a lot of years in Arca. I started in 2016, all part-time schedules until obviously the full-time year in 2019. But yeah, basically about 4 years. I don't know how many starts I had exactly, probably about 20-ish before the full year. But yeah, my only full-time year was in 2019.
Yeah, when I was doing the research, 2019 was the only year that it would bring up, so I had to ask.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we've got 8 races between now and the playoffs. You've got 2 races coming up that are, I call them cookie cutters. I'm sure a lot of people, Texas and Charlotte. I looked at, last year you didn't do all 8 of these. You were part-time. You did 2 of these 8. Is there any concern about being rusty at some of these tracks with that kind of schedule?
I don't think I would say that necessarily. Going to Texas this coming weekend, I feel like I really should have won both of those races back in 2020 when I last ran there, and we ran okay at Charlotte. And Gateways is one that I've shown speed at before. Just haven't been. I mean, I think I have 4 DNFs and probably the most laps led within those four races. So past that, I think we go to Sonoma, which is kind of a wild card for everybody. Knoxville, I didn't run last year, but it's a dirt track. I think Nashville's after that one, and I hadn't been to Nashville. So I mean, all of our team last year ran really well. I want to say Grant finished top 5 in most of those races. So as far as race cars go, and just as far as our team goes, I feel pretty confident that we'll be able to get the hang of it.
Gotcha. Dustin, you want to take it in this swing?
Talking about Texas, and when I was researching you, and I kind of knew about this prior to looking you up, seeing your career and all that. 2020, you had an incident at Texas with Ben Rhodes.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of articles based on just around this story, and a lot of people seem to have drawn the conclusion that Ben intentionally took you out, or at least it looks like he did. Now, 2 years past that, do you still hold that opinion, or do you hold that opinion like some people that he took you out intentionally, or was it just hard racing?
I mean, I do have that opinion still. I mean, we're teammates and all, and we've gotten over it, and he hasn't I don't think he's necessarily admitted to it, but he hasn't not admitted to it. So, it's all good. It's in the past. We're all Team ThorSport now, and there's no grudges held. But yeah, I'll definitely have to give him some crap about it when we get to the racetrack this weekend.
You didn't spark the controversy.
Yeah, exactly. That hurt, man.
Hey,
I bet it did.
Teammates are supposed to take care of each other, so let him go, man. Don't do it.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, I did have one more big thing to ask you. Contract wise, where are you guys at for next year for ThorSport? Have y'all started discussion for 2023 and beyond, or are you planning on trying to move up maybe to Xfinity next year?
Not really anything as far as contract wise. Obviously I'm very happy where I am, and I'd like to stay here for years to come. Duke and Rhonda have been amazing, almost like family to me over the past year and a half, and I'd like for that to continue. So, like I said, it's kind of too soon to really, see where we're at as far as that. I think we're midway through June already, I guess, but it's somewhere that I want to be for a couple years to come at least, and maybe even for a lifetime. I don't know yet. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But like I said, I'm happy where I am and everything that's come about.
Nice. You have one more for Christian?
I do have one more question, and it's regarding to last year, because you shared a ride with Grant Enfinger before he would move over to Maury Gallagher for this year. When working with him, did you learn anything new when you were working with him, sharing that truck, or did you have a good relationship racing together?
Yeah, I mean, I think we both improved the program a little bit. Bringing stuff from when I was racing at KBM and when he was wherever he's been and running the truck and stuff like that. We both elevated that program to run really well last year. So. Yeah, no, I mean, we had both kind of the same mindset. We both wanted to win, and we wanted to get the team better. And even within, the last few months of him knowing that he's going to GMS, he still put in all the effort he could and did a good job. So I got a lot of respect for Grant and still stay in touch with him to this day.
Nice. I heard that. Nice.
Well, I'm definitely going to be rooting for you this weekend. I think Texas is a good place for not first time winners. She's not a first time winner, but first of the year winners.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's great for that. I mean, we should do it again this weekend.
Lagging or something. I lost you for a second, but I think Texas and Charlotte should bode well for you, especially you have done really well at Charlotte. You've been there a few times and done well. Best of luck to you. get a win before the playoffs. Don't count points by any means.
I'd like that too. Yeah.
Take that pressure off.
That's right. Well,
And
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you stopping by.
All right. Sounds good. See you guys later.
See ya. That's Christian Eckes, and I will bring in Alex. What's going on with the signal? Is it just me, or what's going on? Are you messing up too?
I haven't seen any problems on my end. I think it is just you lagging a little bit, but we're working with it.
Let me get Alex in. Hey, Alex, how we doing, man?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk some Arca. We just got done talking to Christian about the truck series. You guys just came off of at Kansas, had some transmission problems. Didn't get the finish you wanted. It happens. But you've got a few races coming up that I historically think you're going to do pretty well at. You've had some good finishes. Are you?
I lost you there at the end. I didn't hear the end after a couple good races.
Oh, I got you. Are you running the full Menards schedule this year?
Yeah, right now we're splitting the whole schedule between 3 people, me, Josh White, and Rita Thomason. So Josh will be in the car at Charlotte after we just ran Kansas.
Gotcha. You got later this year, Iowa, Berlin, Elko. There's some decent tracks coming up where you guys can get some good finishes and finish the year strong. I wanted to talk more than just racing with you for a second, though.
Mm-hmm.
You are a member of the city council in Morris.
Yep.
You have your own lawn care company that's been going for a long time.
Yes, sir.
We are both alumni of Morris Community High School.
Yep.
Pretty cool to me. I thought that was pretty awesome when I found that out.
Right on.
I'll call this kind of the hometown show because Dustin here grew up in my hometown in Waycross, Georgia. And then where I went to high school, you're from. So it's like one of you, your family knew me from a baby. And then a lot of your similar friends we have in common because of high school. So I thought that was pretty cool that we would end up seeing somebody from Morris, Illinois in the racing community. That's pretty awesome.
Right on.
But it seems like you do a lot more than just racing. And I would kind of like to hit on that a little bit. So you're the 3rd Ward alderman, is that correct?
Yep, 3rd Ward alderman. There's 2 of us. There's myself and Derek Wren for the 3rd Ward. We have 4 wards total in Morris.
Nice. And you are Republican, correct?
Yes.
Nice. I'll take that.
Right on.
Yeah. Let's see. What was that? Political.
Well, he's looking that up. How in the world do you juggle being a politician, a racer, and an entrepreneur, a businessman? It seems like you got a lot on your plate there.
And I'm a dad too. I have a son that's about to turn 2 and a wife. So lots of work and a little bit of sleep.
That makes sense.
I do way too much stuff, but you only go around life one time. So I figure I might as well cram as much in as I can, and I can sleep when I'm dead. So that's what I do. I was always the guy in high school and stuff that thought politics was stupid and I couldn't stand it. And then Trump came around in 2016, and a lot of people don't like him. I liked him. I thought he was great because he was the guy that told you how it was, and if you didn't like it, it was too bad because that was the way he was telling it. And I was like, well, that's kind of how I am. So it got me kind of involved in politics, and I just decided to run. And I figured, you know what? I'm known around town. My family's been in the town for forever, and I own a lawn care business, so people know me from doing that. So I figured it'll be like an easy campaign, and I'll either win or lose. And well, then it just turned into a big crap show because the guy that unseated the incumbent of the Democrat Party, he was going around stealing my signs and the other guy's signs, and then ended up getting caught on camera. So then the guy that caught it on camera took it to the police, and then the Republican Party of Grundy County ended up getting it. So then we ended up having that out, and the guy's mugshot ended up on a mailer. And so it went from like a little itty bitty 550 person square voter population to like all over the state. People heard about it, and the dude's mugshot was on the mailer. So like I had people want me to sign their mailers and stuff like that. It was pretty crazy. And it was close because it's a pretty Democrat area that I live in. But, you know, I was like, well, I'm a Republican, so I'm going to either win or I'm not. And luckily I did. And I've been able to help the city out and, you know, get some stuff done. And not super well liked because I have an issue with spending money. So whenever we spend a lot of money, I usually don't like that, and I vote no on it. So they don't like me for that. But you know, I just figure if just because we have the budget doesn't mean we have to spend the budget.
That's correct.
Yep.
It is an estimate of total.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't look at it that way, but I'm a business owner, so you know, if I have X amount of budget, I can't spend double of that. So you know, it's people don't look at it that way. They get elected, and then it goes to their head, and they're like, well, I'm gonna vote yes on that because that's what the mayor wants. And it's not the best way to go about everything.
I would say that government spending leads to inflation 1-to-1.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome that you're so involved in the community of Morris. I haven't been home since 2003, but it's a very nice little town, about an hour and some change from Chicago.
Yep.
Chicagoland Speedway is about 20 minutes away, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a great little place. You know, I saw a post about, I think you posted it about our place, truck stop.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that was like a nightly venue. We would go sit in the corner, drink coffee. I don't even like coffee, but it was just something to do to not call it a night.
Yep.
But,
And it was nice because they were always open 24 hours before the pandemic.
Oh, wow. Are they not 24 hours anymore?
No, they close by like 9 o'clock now. Everything's ruined from that. There's like McDonald's isn't even 24 hours anymore. You have nothing in Morris is open past like 11 o'clock anymore, except for bars.
Oh, of course.
A lot of bars are closing at like 10 or 11. So it's just ruined everything. Nobody wants to work. Everybody thinks they're worth $35 an hour, and then people offer people $35 an hour, and then they just still don't want to work. It's like you got what you wanted, and now you want more. Like, what is this? And people just don't care, unfortunately.
It is a problem everywhere. It's a problem here too. I'm on the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, and you know, $20 an hour is the minimum people work for, and then you're not going to get a job like that around here unless you're at the plants, like the gas plant, Shell, and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I do miss Corn Fest. I'll tell you, Corn Fest is awesome.
You'll have to come back sometime. Although it's not as awesome as it used to be because they took away drinking in the streets. So you got to stay in bars. You know? So
there's
a
probably
lot less people.
There's probably about 3 or 4 bars right there in the middle of town that used to be big for Corn Fest, but they just don't do it anymore. Or...
Well, they do, but you can't take your drink out of the bar. So it's cut down on a lot of people because the streets used to be, well, you know, jam-packed. You could barely walk down them.
Oh, yeah.
Now the streets aren't hardly packed at all. They pretty much cut the amount of people there by 3/4 when they did that, which they did that about 10 years ago.
And Corn Fest brings a lot of income to a lot of those businesses right there on Main Street.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's their week. All those bars, that's the week. They said they could close down for the rest of the year. That's their moneymaker. So
it gets crazy. I mean, there's a lot of festivals around Morris that are like that, but Corn Fest, I think, is the best one.
Yeah, Corn Fest is almost like Mardi Gras, but with corn and no beads.
Right. Yep. So let's get back into racing. I like venturing, but we do a racing show, so we'll talk a little racing. Did you get a chance to catch the Cup race this weekend?
I watched part of it. Saturday was me and my wife's anniversary, so she wasn't particularly happy that I was racing on her anniversary. So we ended up going out to a nice restaurant on Sunday. So I missed a good part of it. I think the last thing I seen was Kevin Harvick shifting the wrong way and spinning out, and then I had to go. So I missed the good finish. I heard it was a really good finish with Kurt Busch winning.
Oh, it was.
Yep. I was shocked that he could catch him. I mean, I felt like Larson was just going to hug the wall and
Mhm.
Busch would get close, but not be able to pass him. But he found a way to make it work. I'll give him total props for the whole venture because I thought it was over once Larson got back out.
Right. Yeah. And I don't particularly like the new cars. I don't know what your stance is on that, but I don't like them at all. We were there after the race and we were kind of watching them practice, and they just don't sound even close to the way they used to sound. They look slower than, I don't know. They just look slow.
I think
So-
they've left a lot of room for improvement all around.
I
And
hope
Yes.
so. I hope they can find the improvement. But
I honestly think the rear diffuser has a lot to do with it. I know it's supposed to improve the cars, but that's the common denominator for me. Is that is really playing havoc on the looseness. I mean, we're seeing cars get loose in places. I've never seen a car until this year get that loose at Kansas anywhere on the track. This is
Mhm.
this is a racer's track. You get back in the gas, you gas off, and you go. I mean, the people couldn't do that. It was
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely they're definitely having to drive it, but just the unpredictability of it is just got to be insane to not know if or when it's going to just come around on you. And then it looked like it's just basically no saving it. Once it snaps, you're just done. There ain't no bringing it back.
It's the way you said that, it reminds me of when the Gen 4s were still racing around. If they started to come around, you were done. There was no saving it. It just went around with you.
Yep, and you were junk.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have some questions for Alex?
I do have two questions. The first one is, what made you get into racing?
Well, I am a third generation driver. My grandfather, well, my dad wanted to race. My grandpa ended up helping my dad get a car when my dad was 16. Maybe they were 15. They couldn't really afford to do it, but they went and found a car for like $10 and brought it home. And they, back then in the 80s and that, you could build a race car for $100 and go run budget bumpers out of Grundy. So my dad and his friend, they did that. They got a car, and then my grandpa ended up running it for a year, and he ended up continuing racing. My dad started racing, and pretty much our whole family has raced. I race, my brother races, like all four of them or all three of my uncles have raced. Cousins have raced. I think one time at Grundy we had a 4-cylinder race back in like 05, and there was 11 clubs in it, so it was pretty crazy. Yeah. But I started racing in 2000 when I was 8 years old. I started racing. They call them champ carts. They're just basically cage carts with a 5-horse Briggs and Stratton motor. And I ran that, moved up to the 10-horse class, and I over the time I've been racing, I've ran every year since 2000. I've ran go-karts, I've ran 4-cylinders, street stocks, mid-ams, late models, modifieds, and street stocks, and that on the dirt. I ran one night a couple years ago. I rented a crate late model at Kankakee, so I pretty much have the bucket list off with everything except for a dirt super late, which I'll probably never do that, but it'd be nice to eventually.
Where do they run dirt super lates at around there?
A lot of places around Illinois, Fairbury, Farmer City. I think we have like 26 dirt tracks in Illinois, so there's quite a few places that run them. Fairbury's the main one, and I like Fairbury. I used to run there a lot before I moved up. So the unfortunate thing of not having a lot of money and moving up to a series like Arca is you pretty much have to either pick one or the other. And, you know, I sacrificed a lot to race a little. So,
I believe it's pot committed would be the right term.
yeah,
It's,
for sure.
especially Arca, it can't be cheap because the parts are one thing.
Mhm.
Wreck a car, I mean, you are basically at square one.
Yeah.
But I admire the fact that you're giving it your all, and you guys are. Matter of fact, the Talladega race, I thought it was you in the 03. And I learned that it was not you that weekend.
Right. Yeah, that was Brayton Laster. He was running our number with Mullins Racing because we're trying to make all 20 races. We didn't have a super speedway car, so you know, my thing was if I could put the whole season together, cool. If not, it is what it is. Well, then Mullins had got a hold of me. They're like, hey, we got this kid. He wants to run. You know, Willie was running the 3, so they're like, hey, you know, we like the 03 number. We know you're trying to run all 20 races. So everything worked out. They ran Daytona, and then they ended up liking it, and then they ended up putting a deal together to run Talladega. So I was planning on going to Phoenix anyway because my father-in-law lives out there. So we were doing a little racing and vacation. I called it a racecation. And so we did that, and then they went to Talladega, and we just went to Kansas, and then now we're getting ready for Charlotte. So the bulk of the rest of the season's on me now. We got to get everything together. You can't really see, but the car behind me, that's the car I just got from down in Florida. It was just had the cage raised and rebodied. So I believe we're going to have that car and Rita's car at Mid-Ohio. So we'll have the 3 and the 03 for that. So we're going to kind of run Mullins' number to help them with the owner's points and stuff. I don't know how many more races they're going to run this year, but we may have 3 or 4 races where we'll have 2 cars this year. It just will depend on how everything goes. But barring any motor issues or you know, any wrecks or badly damaged cars, we should be in a pretty good position for the season. It just, you know, if things don't go right, kind of like we had at Kansas, might just call it a day early and pack it up because every mile you run these Elmore motors costs money, and you know, it just no sense in beating it to death and using it up. So I figured if we park it at lap 50, we're going to be, you know, money ahead. They changed tire codes on us. It's $2,400 a set for tires. So really, it was a thing of if I stayed out, I would make $150, and it would cost me $2,400 for another set of tires and about $3,000 in mileage on the motor. So it was a big loss for a little reward. So, you know, last year I ran 10th, so we were doing everything we could to stay out and run and that. And this year we just didn't hit it right, and we were slow. And you know, last year I was 5 laps down at the end of 100 laps. This year I was 4 laps down at the end of 50. So it was pretty frustrating, but you know, at that point there's no sense in staying out and being in the way and all that. And it sucks, but sometimes you got to know when to call it a day and move on. And you know, so we're gonna do a few things, get it ready for Charlotte, and hopefully we'll have a lot better showing when we get Josh in the car. And I was a guinea pig for Kansas, and the guinea pig didn't like it, so we'll see where we end up with it.
I got you.
Yeah.
You guys have any other than, I think I saw that you were sponsoring, well, your lawn company sponsored you guys earlier this year, or maybe that was the last year car. I'm not 100% sure. I just saw a picture. Do you guys have other sponsors coming in for later this year?
So Josh has a bunch of sponsors. His main one's Kanawha Ammunition out of West Virginia. They're going to be on his car for all 3 races. My main sponsor is Flowers with Jazz. She was on the car for Phoenix and Kansas. We have Clayton's Tap also. We had Honest Abe's Tap and Grill for Phoenix. But past past Kansas site, we got a blank car. So other than the 3 races that Josh is running, he's got some sponsors, but he's really been pounding the pavement and getting a lot of stuff. And he's an ex-Marine too, so everybody really likes his story and where he came from and everything. So it's just great to see the support that he's getting with everything. We're actually trying to put a deal together for next year for him to run the full season. He might jump in a couple more races this year if funding becomes available, but the current plan right now is we're going to run the 2023 with him. We haven't announced that yet, but he's working on the details with all of that. So that'll be cool. At that point, we'll be able to run a second car part-time with things. So it's exciting. Things are growing and growing quick. Just our problem is money. I don't have the money for better equipment. The car that I'm running is an old car. It was built in like 05. So all the top teams are running, cars that are basically brand new. So it really makes it difficult to try to keep up and be competitive. And, I was at Venturini's shop a couple weeks ago when I picked up my car. I had to go there to get a couple of gears, and basically Big Bill Venturini told me every 2 to 3 races they're changing front suspension parts and doing new things. And I've got 10, 15-year-old technology, and they're changing it every 3 races. So I don't have the cubic dollars to do it. Their payroll for their 18 employees is like 4 times what I'm spending to try to get out and run one season. So
holy cow,
it's astronomical.
Well, dang, that's a lot of money to just have to throw around. But I mean, I totally understand what you're saying about, it was smart to park it. Of course, you're only losing money. You're probably not going to gain any spots unless there's a big wreck or something. And Kansas doesn't usually have a big wreck.
Right. Yeah. It's a pretty clean racetrack.
Yeah. But, next year, hopefully with things going the way they're going, hopefully the economy makes a turnaround sometime between now and then. I don't see it, but it's possible.
Yeah, I don't see it either. And, sponsors have all but dried up. And really the only sponsors you're getting are just friends and family and people helping you with a few $100 here and there. And, the problem is to run at this level, you need the sponsors that pay, 10, 15, 20,000 a race. And they're just not there. Or at least if they are, I can't find them. I call them unicorns because I haven't found them. So.
I had a friend that worked for Wilson Driver Development years ago when they had the truck series, Arca truck series, and he was basically renting his truck for $10,000 a race. And I was this close to getting in one. We had the money set aside, and they ended up giving the car or the truck to, I believe it was Grant Enfinger for that weekend. And he went on to move up to the truck series and everywhere else. But, maybe that's something that might come up in the Arca series where you guys start getting interest, and that would be cool to help out. If you need a volunteer crew chief, I'm here for you, man.
Right on. Hey, any race you want to come to, we'll let you in. We'll let you come hang out and have some fun.
Appreciate it. We did the Talladega race, and I think we're going to Atlanta. And I'm going to try and get Dustin into a couple races this year. Our NASCAR media credentials get us on pit road, but it's hard to find a good spot during the race to watch the race.
Yeah.
So
it's almost impossible from the infield.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you see the front stretch, and that's it at Talladega.
Yep. It's pretty much like that everywhere. The only track I could probably think of, but you'd need to be on a hauler, would be like Bristol. Past that, like, you can't see from the infield. I should say Charlotte too. Charlotte's got that infield garage deal that you can sneak up onto, and you can see almost the whole track there. So that's pretty neat for there. But past that, that's about it that I can think of.
Yeah.
So did I hear you correctly that you're not in the car for Charlotte, or is somebody else in it?
Josh will be in the car for Charlotte. Josh. Okay. So, and then after that, we go to Iowa. I'll be back in the car for that. Then we go to Berlin. That'll be Rita's first race. And then
Nice.
the week after that is Elko, which Rita's supposed to run, but she might have issues with work, with time off. So if that's the case, I'll just take my car and run. And then I'm trying to think after that. I think it's maybe Mid-Ohio.
Mid-Ohio, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be most likely taking 2 cars of that. I've got a guy that's signed for that, but he hasn't paid any money yet. So hopefully he's getting that all situated and figured out, and then we'll be good to go with that. So it's just hard to say. We're taking it one race at a time. Our plan is to run all 20, but it's just it's not an easy thing to do.
Right. And there's a lot of stuff that the everyday fan doesn't think about. I mean, you're not talking about just racing. You've got to get to the tracks. You've got to have the employees. You have everything line. It's expensive. I've seen the bill a couple times, and it's not something I want to get into.
Right.
I will stand back and help and watch you do it and root for you because
Right
you've
on.
got it under control. I do
I
not.
appreciate it.
But
It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work and a lot of money, and I don't have the money aspect of it, so I'm trying to shoestring it, and it's not exactly a series that you can really shoestring, so it's tough. And I'm a perfectionist. I like to have things perfect, and I used to always win. So, moving up, I knew it was going to be hard to. Well, I know winning's not going to ever happen unless
never know.
Well, I mean, yeah, you could have 10 or 15 cars wad up on the restart, and we might miss the wreck, and we'll win it. But unless that happens, unless we get better equipment, it ain't going to happen. My goal is just if we can go out and run in the top 10, that's where we want to be. And if we can do it, great. If we can't, we can't. And we're trying, but we need significantly better equipment, which basically I need about $150,000 budget to upgrade to where we need to be, and I'm not there with it. So we're working on things. We're trying to get some more drivers in that want to run full seasons and are willing to pay the money and get in equipment. But it's just, people don't want to pay a lot of money to run in the back, but they have to pay the money for us to get things to a point where we can get things better. And it's at the end of the day, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to run 15th and somebody's got to run last. So it's just hard to explain to people that this is what you're paying to run here, but some of them accept it, some of them move on, and some of them just decide this ain't what they want to do. But we're at a pretty good price point. The bigger teams average, $70,000 a race to run their stuff. So
Whew.
we're less than half of that. But, it is what it is. It's you get what you pay for, basically. We're not we're in a professional series, but we're not a professional team. We're just a bunch of guys. We have no employees. We're just doing what we can do. So
That's a racing American dream, though. Really
yeah.
It's a ton of fun. I love every second of it. Even though Kansas didn't go good and we didn't run good, it was a little depressing. But at the end of the day, you look at it. There's not many people that are even trying to do what we're trying to do. So it kind of, it's a pride thing. It's people can talk crap about you, but at the end of the day, they're not out there doing it, and you're out there trying, working your butt off, and they're sitting on the couch. So
hey, haters are motivators. Period.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
So they don't bother me. I figure, well, I always tell them, go ahead, go buy a car and show me that you can outrun me then, because it's not easy to go out there and run around 15th with an ill handling car and run laps down. It's
right.
We're working harder to not wreck than the guys that are running up front half the time. So, but at the end of the day, it's still fun. It's still neat to do, and
it's a cool story, if nothing else.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great story. And I mean, one day you're going to pass this down to your kid,
Mm-hmm.
and even if they don't race, their kid, their kids after that. Well, granddad, great granddad, he was an Arca driver.
Yep.
That's what it's about. And you
Yeah.
said you're third generation driver. That's awesome. I didn't know your dad and granddad raced. That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, and hopefully here in a couple of years, my kid will be a fourth gen. So
there you go.
he seems to like it. So I'm hoping. Mom don't like the idea of him racing, but Dad does. So
got to take the good with the bad.
Yep, I think Dad will win though. We were sitting yesterday for the cup race before it started, and they said, "Gentlemen, start your engines," and they fired the cars up, and he clapped and said, "Yay!" So that's a plus, 'cause he's got his little car that he drives around the house, and he'll go over to it and just hit the button, and it just starts and revs up, and he'll just do that 100 times. So I'm like, honey, I think he's definitely got the bug in him. So
Yep.
he's good. He'll be ready.
Tell him start cutting some lawns for you, and he can earn that spot.
For sure. Yep.
Well, man, it was good to have you. I'm glad you stopped by. Hopefully some sponsors come knocking, because it'd be great to see you out there full time next year as well. Maybe even with another car. That'd be really cool, so.
Yeah, if things go to plan, I think we'll for sure have one full-time car next year. And I'd like to have a second car part-time to do 10 races with. So I think we'll end up making that happen. It just, we got to get through this year first and evaluate and see where we're at. I would like to, I don't have any plans of going anywhere. This is the series I want to be in. I can't afford to do trucks. So this is, this is a cup series for me. This is the top of the hill. So I want to, make the most of it and, be around as long as I can, try to put together a good program, and, maybe 10, 15 years down the road, I can be like a Venturini or a Gibbs or one of them, where we have a top team and we're going out and winning races, and, then this will be my living instead of doing the landscaping. But
right.
We'll see. Only time will tell.
Or mayor, there's always that mayor option.
Yeah, that too. But that's a lot of work. I like what I'm doing. I can come and go as I please, go racing. For that job, you kind of have to be tied down and be around 5 days a week. So, like next week, I'm leaving Thursday morning for Charlotte. So with the lawn care business, that works with employees. Being mayor, I don't think the city people would like that. Elected making over $100,000 a year, and they are gone a couple days a week here and there. So it's hard to say. We'll see. That's down the road, though.
That's a long way away.
Yep.
Oh, man, it was good to have you. You're welcome to come back anytime. We basically just sit here and talk about NASCAR for an hour and find something to do till we come back on.
Right on. Yeah, I'd love to get back on. Maybe we could get back on after Charlotte.
Yeah, let me know. We'll just plan on it. If you're not busy, just plan on being here Monday, and we'll talk results.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Keep it up. We'll pull for you. You too.
Thanks.
That was Alex Clubb. We went to the same high school.
That is cool.
He graduated years after I did, but I went to that Talladega race, and I went into his pit stall, and I thought he was there because I'd Googled who he was after a friend said, "Hey, this guy running the 03 is my cousin," and that was Brayton Lassiter who was running his car.
Oh, I got you.
So I went to that pit stall to see Brayton's family and get some info, try and line up an interview. And then they said, "Well, Alex Clubb owns the team." So I Googled him, and he says he's from Morris, Illinois. And I'm like, "What? No way. No way. Come on. That can't be real." And then I started talking to him and back and forth. He's a laid back guy. I like it, to be an owner of a Menards Arca series team is pretty cool. I would love to be in his shoes, or I'd even be, let me change tires for you, man. I'll do it for free.
Right? Like that. That's so cool.
Yep.
I thought it was because when you said he was coming on the show, and I did my research on him, I read he was a politician. He has a lawn care service, and he races. I was like, holy cow, he's doing all this.
Everything. He probably He
How does
probably
he
really does
breathe?
never sleep. Yeah. He probably doesn't know what an Xbox is.
Probably does.
And that's okay.
Yep.
'Cause he's doing what he wants to do. He's racing. He's got his own race team. I envy that. That's where I want to be sitting as, owner, driver, crew chief of a race team.
Definitely. That's like any racing fan's dream
Yep.
is to either own the team, be the crew chief, be on the team, or be the driver.
100%.
It's one of those.
So we started talking a little bit about Kansas, but there was a lot going on. So we got about 15 minutes left. Let's go ahead and cover it.
Yep.
And then we'll lead into Texas. I don't know if anybody picked Kurt Busch. It wasn't me.
Nope.
I was not close to picking Kurt Busch. Going over our parlay picks, I think I was wrong on almost all of them.
I remember I think we both chose Larson.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
But I think he's the only one I got right because I picked Christopher Bell.
Yep.
And he wasn't it.
I can't remember. I think I chose Hamlin, but that for some reason doesn't sound right for me. Either way, if I picked Hamlin, he was not the best Joe Gibbs driver. Kyle Busch obviously was.
I didn't pick the winner. I actually picked Daniel Suarez to win the race, and he had some speed, and then things happened.
Yep.
Tragedy. But, congrats to 23-11 all around. It wasn't just Kurt Busch winning. I mean, Bubba was running top 5 before the penalty and got back to the top 10. Mm-hmm. And if you go back and look with that last pit stop, he quite literally drove through the field. I think he restarted about 21st or something and made it all the way to 10th there at the checkers. So, good job to him and that race team to get a top 10 when I had already written them off after the penalty. I didn't think they could do it. And Denny said on pit road after the race, the teams have let these two guys down. There have been opportunities for good runs, good finishes, and they haven't been there because of penalties or bad stops or, mechanical. And sometimes they just get wrecked, They both got wrecked in Talladega. It wasn't even their fault. So,
but still, like we said, they showed really good speed. Really and truly, all the Toyotas came out in full force for this race. If we're just being completely honest, I was half expecting Toyota to be at best in the top 10 and then have like maybe 3 of them DNF. And here they are, like Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell. They got more than half of the top 5 right there.
Oh, there's so many Toyotas in the top 5.
Well, excuse me, 80% of the top 5 is Toyotas, and Kyle Larson is the only Chevrolet in the top 5. They came out and said, all right, we've had a bad start to the season. It's behind us. Here's what we're really going to do the rest of the season.
I was quite disappointed in Ford, though, not even getting a car in the top 10. And
it's sad.
Their highest finisher was Austin Cindric, who did not have a fast car. I don't know what was up with Blaney. I think we're going to get a crew chief change here with Blaney soon because they
haven't been running well.
It seems like they miss the setup almost every week now. They'll either have a short run or too long run of a car and not have pace throughout the run. And I don't know that that's necessarily a crew chief thing. It might be a driver thing. It might be communication, but they're not getting the finishes that they need. And because Kurt Busch is a new winner this year, how many winners do we have now?
Let me see.
11.
Let's see. 11 winners. We're 5 away from having, our 16 for the playoffs.
5 away. And so when I look at playoff standings, where did that go?
For playoff standings, Byron is in the lead with Chastain in second, and then Chase out the first of the one winners to be third. He's third right now. So there's only been 2 repeat winners, and we're in June.
Well, you look at if the season ended today, who's in? And you've got guys that are winless. You've got Eric Almirola, Kevin Harvick, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., and the other will be Ryan Blaney. Now,
Mhm.
Blaney's comfortably, way up right now. But
Yep.
as the weeks tick off, I mean, when you get back to Charlotte and we have a new winner, you take Eric Almirola off the board. And then it's a 13-point gap right now between Harvick and Almirola. And
Mhm.
then you knock off another winner later this year, and then it's Christopher Bell, who's another 20-something points up. You start narrowing the gap. And when you get that 16th winner, it doesn't matter where you're at in the points. You're in, as long as you're top 30. And
Mhm.
everybody is top 30, except Brad Keselowski, of people that, I feel like should be in the playoffs.
Yep.
And that's his own doing, by the way, because he wouldn't be back there if he didn't have the penalty. But looking at this field, the guys that will be left out right now, both RCR drivers, Dylan and Reddick, Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, these are guys that have shown speed all year and just don't have the finishes to show for it.
Mhm.
But that time coming up, they need to figure out a win, or they're going to be on the outside looking in real quick.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, talking about RCR, Reddick, I feel like has been in the right place at the right every single time. He's got the car. It's just when it comes to finishing races, it just never comes together for him.
And I want to point out something because, just a few weeks ago, people were losing their mind saying, oh, Chase Elliott's fell off. He's not championship caliber. Right now, if the season ended, he would be 22 points granted from last place in the playoff standings, meaning he would start with 2,022 points, whereas Eric Almirola would start the playoffs with $2,000. He would have a 22-point cushion in those 3 races in the first round. The season is not over. He's the points leader. He has a win. He has 9
Mhm.
top 10s, which is tied for the most of anybody with Kyle Busch. And then no DNFs. I like that the most, is that he has 0 DNFs. Chase is not going anywhere. He has a different driving style. Kyle Larson lit it on fire last year with all the wins.
Mhm.
Chase is probably never going to be that driver, but I will say he's more consistent, probably at every track, than Larson is. And that might be enough to get him a second championship this year. I
Yeah.
think it goes through William Byron if I'm, just guessing. But, there's a lack of consistency for William that he's
Yeah,
got to fix first.
he's been very hot and cold when it
Yep.
every single weekend. Like sometimes he's blitzing the field, and the other times he's nowhere. And then you got some weekends where you have incidents like we had at Darlington, where it
Yeah.
looks like he could win it, and then intervention comes in and he finishes in 13th.
Yep.
But
And then the 4 DNFs by Larson and Hamlin stick out to me. And that's got to be fixed before the playoffs, too, because 1 DNF in the playoffs,
you're
depending on
done.
what round it is, you could be done.
Yeah.
You'd have to, either get a win or clench your cheeks and hope that you've got the points to make it.
hmm You
And
don't
that's
want to
not how
be in a
you want
Kevin
to do
Harvick situation.
it. No, because Harvick is barely hanging on. I mean,
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially right now. But I'm talking about like you don't want to go into the playoffs with your consistency right now. You know, do either really good in the coming rounds, and then that inconsistency hits, and your championship run's done. You want to get this squared away now, as soon as you can before playoffs start. Because as soon as playoffs start, you're in hot water, and any inconsistency, you better hope that the guys around you, the guys you're contending with, have bad days as well.
yeah,
So you
because
can minimize damage.
they knock off 4 drivers every 3 races.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So, logistically speaking, there's going to be 2 drivers. It might differ this year because the competition is so, it's closer. But
Yep.
let's just say by normal year standards, in any of those races, you're going to have 1 to 2 guys have serious trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're one of those guys, I mean, you're on the outside looking in real quick is what I'm saying. Real quick, let's hit our Texas predictions.
Oh
The
boy.
All-Star race. I don't want to give a parlay because this is not a team race by any means.
Yep.
This is I'm going to win that money, and I don't care if I wreck my teammate to get it. So I
Mhm.
don't want to go with the parlay. I just want to go straight winners. Give me a guy that wins, and give me a guy that you think is a dud.
Oh, being it's Texas, it's a mile and a half. I gotta go with the guy that finished second this past Sunday.
The defending All-Star race winner.
Yes, I have to. I mean, think about it. He's shown speed all season long, and you really saw it. I mean, I was convinced that Larson was going to win this race, but Kurt Busch ran him down. That being said, we're going to Texas. I mean, Texas is Texas. I mean, this there's just something about Texas to me that just screams that if you're really good at mile and a halves, you're going to probably win this race. And Larson has shown speed at every mile and a half he's been to since he's been with Hendrick. I gotta go with Larson on this one. I think it's the most logical pick. But for a dud, I have no clue.
Ooh, I got a dud for you, and you're gonna love it.
Am I gonna love it?
You're gonna love it.
I'm gonna love it. Well, before you tell me your dud, man, I'm probably gonna have to go Denny Hamlin as a dud.
Okay, that's not bad.
Again,
Okay,
it's down to his inconsistency. That's why I'm picking him. He had a good race at Kansas. I think that inconsistency is going to kick in this coming up All-Star race.
maybe, but hear me out. I think the Toyotas have hit something.
Oh, they have.
Kansas is a mile and a half. Texas is a mile and a half. They're different, but you can run a very distinctly good, high line at Texas as well in 3 and 4. 1 and 2, not so much, but I think Toyota gets a win, and I think it's Truex. I think he cashes in, and I think it does not help him because it's not a points-paying race, but I think it primes him for a win before we get to the playoffs because we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. What do we have, 10 races to go? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Let me check the schedule. So in these next 10 races, we're going to find out, who's really a contender, who's dragging on somebody else's coattail.
Mm-hmm.
Let's count races, shall we? I'm totally guessing at 10. I really don't know.
Daytona is the cutoff race of 13. Daytona being the cutoff race is 13. So we're close. We're close.
Did you count Texas?
14. 14 then.
14. Well, yeah. I mean, you don't count Texas because it's not a points paying race. Let's see.
Well, without Texas, it's 13 to Daytona, which is the 26th race, which is the cutoff race.
So 13 races.
13 races.
All we have to get is 5 different winners in 13 races, people. That is what, 38%?
Roughly.
36%, something like that.
Roughly,
I think it's doable, especially with Kurt Busch getting a win. He's not one that I picked to get a win this year. This also probably cancels his retirement party. He'll probably stick around, which I am all for. I like Kurt Busch. He's a good old guy. I don't know. I see a lot of there's some haymakers in here, like Worldwide Technology. Some of these Cup drivers have never raced there. This is a track that was Xfinity and Truck Series only for a long time.
Yep.
And so that's a wild card. Nashville, another race that, there's a lot of drivers that probably have never run there. Go a little later in the season, and let's count road courses because this is crazy. You got 1,
Road
2,
America,
3,
Indianapolis,
4,
and Watkins Glen.
There are 4 road courses
and Sonoma
now in the playoffs. 4.
Oof.
Yeah. And then once we start the playoffs, you get back into Darlington, Kansas again.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be fun.
I like our chances of getting 5 more winners.
Oh, easily.
I really do.
Even this could be the year we test it with 17, and because we have 17, we have to decide which winner doesn't make it. Because I think Brad Keselowski goes ape and gets a win at Daytona to end.
There you go.
I think Keselowski gets a win at Daytona to end the season and get his ticket. And then you're like, well, that's either 17 or 18. So which winner doesn't go? That's going to be crazy.
I wonder what they would do. Would they just go by, the not playoff points, but go by your
It's
current
playoff
standing? They would go by playoff points?
It would go by because the field would be set in the playoff order.
Mm-hmm.
I am almost 98% certain they go by playoff points to decide a tiebreaker at the end.
Ooh. I would really hate to be on the bad end of that one and feel like, oh, I gotta win. I should be in, but I'm not.
Happens. Don't be that guy that's winner number 17 and sitting at home enjoying that win.
Enjoying that win, but you're not going to be able to contend for a title.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got time for today. I hate that it's lagged so much. I think it's killed some of our time, but we hit some stuff. We're ready for Texas, and then we'll come back next Monday and get you guys ready for Charlotte, the 600,
the big one,
only race we have with 3 stage winners.
Yep, that long of a race.
Well, you guys have a good week. I'm Chris Osborne. He's Dustin Lewis as always. We'll see you guys next Monday.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're out in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.